Hello, and welcome to today's Metal Talk from Metal Coffee Shop. My name's Karen Edwards, and I'm really glad that you guys are all here today for this because we're going to be talking about all about metal tools with our friends from Malco Tools. Joining us from Malco Tools today is Jon Olson. Jon, welcome.
Hello, and thank you for that intro.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is Jon Olson. I'm the Learning and Product Training Manager at Malco. I've spent the last 6.5 years connecting pros with tools. So, I've worked in a few different positions, all of which work with voice of the customer, uh, really trying to get to the bottom of what tools and what solutions are needed out in the field for the skilled trades that we serve, both HVAC and roofing, siding, and gutter trades. And so it's been really a great opportunity to work with a lot of different people and better understand what tools are really needed in the trades.
Wow. Well, we're glad to have you here. And right before we dive in, can you tell everyone a little bit about Malco Tools and maybe the history?
Yeah, awesome. So Mark Keemer was a young steel salesman back in 1950, and Mark observed through sales calls and similar interactions that the new round ducts that were being created and used in the HVAC space, they needed to be altered in length on site, and there really wasn't a way to crimp them on site. So Mark actually developed a 5-blade crimper that allowed trade pros to, in the field, quickly and easily, through cycling a set of handles, crimp round duct. And so that really was the inception for Malco. And since then, we've been working to engineer solutions, achieve results, and respect others in doing so. Um, we really do lean on field feedback through field research and interaction at shows and other events to better understand what kind of value do these trade pros need in tools so that they can do their job better.
Yeah, I like that you said that all of your roles have been involved with voice of the customer, and you guys aren't just making tools because you think somebody might need it. You're listening and talking to folks in the trades and then delivering the tools that they wish they had.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, we bring it to training as well, talking with them about what they need to learn about with the tools. So we really do try to take that external feedback and incorporate it into what we do every day.
All right, well, let's dive in. So let's talk about why the right tools are important. And there's some key points here that we want to go over.
Yeah, so safety, of course, is top of mind for anybody that's out on the job site. Not only is it a cost of business in terms of liability, but it also is just a great reason to do the right thing, is being able to go home and work with your friends and family doing the things that you love. And so a big part of quality tools is providing safe solutions that are going to respect, the force that your hand can produce in a regular regiment, the making sure that the proper details are created is a great uh, piece of performance that everybody expects out of their tools. A great example would be a nail slot punch for vinyl siding. If you don't have a nail slot, that vinyl siding is going to pucker and flex, and it's really going to make for a nasty looking install. But simple tools like our nail slot punch allow that to be a proper install, just like factory, wherever you need it. And then, of course, quality. We strive to make sure that we produce high quality tools. And that's not, you know, necessarily providing the Ferrari. That's making sure that you've got kind of that Toyota way of high quality, consistent um, outputs of, the same tool every time so that people know that when they go to get a Malco snip or they get, whatever tool they prefer, they're getting exactly what they need when they need it.
I like the analogy to cars. You know, it's reliable, it's dependable, it's good quality, it's going to perform, and it's not going to let you down, right? Because
Right.
you want the right tools so that your install does not look a mess, right? And that it is good quality. So Awesome. Well, let's dive into the next tool, or the first tool I guess we're going to talk about here, standing seam mechanical seamers. So tell us all about this.
So, as we've embraced talking with people out in the field, we've come to understand that in the standing seam market, a lot of people have been renting their tools. And so they really have kind of lost control of some of the scheduling, and they're really, having to be a lot more thoughtful about when and how they work on stuff. And so, excuse me, last spring we actually launched a standing seam mechanical seamer that is drill assisted. So you're going to use your cordless drill to power this tool, and you're able to close a 1-stage or 2-stage lock in one pass, depending on how many of the 5 stations you have at play. And so with the remote trigger, you can stand up and walk alongside it, and you're really able to just get to work. Nobody wants to be messing around with the seaming process. It really needs to be a high quality, consistent finish, and that's what we strive to provide with that tool.
Wow. So I heard you say remote control. So you're not bending over.
Yeah, no, it actually has a trigger system similar to a motorcycle or a comparable uh, hand trigger that are going to allow you to run it from a standing position. When you look at this tool at first, you're like, hey, yeah, that's a great tool, but until you get that trigger at play, you're basically crawling along a roof deck. Nobody wants to be crawling around a roof deck, so we provide that capability with this tool to stand up and walk alongside it. A lot of people are going to walk the roof pretty briskly with this because it's one of the fastest tools in the market as far as being able to seam 98 feet per minute. That's a pretty quick clip. So it is nice that it's a variable speed seamer as well. So if you want to modulate the throttle and kind of slow your pace down, you can do that.
That's fantastic. Now, looking at that, how much would that weigh?
Less than 32 pounds.
Wow.
So you're talking, you know, a really light package to bring up onto a roof deck. When I've talked with contractors at trade shows, a lot of time they're thinking they can put that into a backpack along with, the drill and be able to go up, using a 3-point point of contact uh, process to get onto the roof deck with the ladder system. They're not putting themselves in harm's way. Very easy to carry, and definitely something that's manageable for one person.
That's cool. Very cool. Portability is important.
Yeah.
All right. Our next tool, standing seam cutter. Um, Similar, the drill attaches right to it. So to guide us through this tool.
Okay, so our standing seam cutter is one that gets a lot of attention when we go to shows with it. The reason being, it cuts the seam completely off of the roof. And so if you get a call back and let's say there's hail or substantial tree damage and you've got a few panels that need to be removed or even the entire roof system, you're easily able to cut that roof system off utilizing the standing seam cutter. It uses a pair of slitting blades that just slice through the material just as clean as a tin snip would, and really is a lot more efficient than some of the other means. We've talked to people that are using cutoff wheels and uh, sawzall blades. Some people are unfolding the material and effectively opening up the can, if you will. A lot of people will, uh, in slang terminology, call this a can opener, and it really is a lot like opening a can. Um, you're gonna start the tool onto the roof deck, and if you wanted to, if you happen to have the seamer and the remote trigger, you'd be able to walk alongside this product as well and just go along the roof deck and cut it off.
Wow. So it really simplifies that whole process for the contractor.
Definitely, it cuts right through the clips, everything needed. So
Wow. So why wouldn't you want one if you're installing metal, right? This is why this tool is on this in this webinar, because these are the seven, the top ones that we think you should have. And Malco has talked to contractors who want them. So let's move on to our metal benders. This is kind of new. This is new for you guys.
Well, we're going on over a decade with the three-station metal bender. And so
Okay.
our ER3 is our kind of OG of benders. We got into that business with a three-station roller. The three stations were really nice for the folks that embraced that because it allowed two stations to stay on the metal for a wider variety of edge conditions. And so a lot of times when you roll a bender over the edge of the panel, it can become a little unwieldy. The three-station bender kind of keeps everything in control. However, it is quite heavy relative to the other models, and we just have a far greater breadth of offering with the other models where the contractor is able to make short curved or straight bends with our one station benders. Our two station benders are great for forming long eve edge bends and things of that nature where you've got to have a long continuous bend. And any of these tools are great because they can make an infinite length bend, whereas a brake is going to be, typically infinite depth or limited depth on the field brake end of things. So
So would this be a contractor would use this like on the job site,
for
um,
sure.
on the
So,
ground, right?
yep, on the ground or on the roof deck. So a lot of times they're gonna cut at least two panels per face of the roof to center the roof material on the field of the roof. And so those rake edges are then going to be bent. Depending on your edge detail for your fascia, you're going to end up either bending a hem down and clipping around it, or you're going to bend a hem up to a 90 in a vertical direction, and you're going to put a detail that wraps around that. So really a handy tool. There's a minimum of probably 4 panels per roof that do need to be adjusted in width. And these tools give you everything you need to be able to do that. You can even profile panels. So create your own custom width or angled tapered panels if you need to on site, giving you the ultimate in flexibility.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. You make your own and it's infinite lengths. You can just go on and on and on and on however long you need, right?
Well, yeah, it really can allow you to step up your game when it comes to your details because then all of a sudden you're putting long continuous details out instead of messing around with splicing details together. So that's huge when you're talking about aesthetics and giving a consistent look and feel throughout the exterior.
How easy is it to learn how to use?
There's a bit of nuance to it, but it's fairly easy. I would say most people are gonna want to practice a couple times before they really
Yeah.
try on some finished details. But um, the main thing is learning how to grasp and hold the tool. And then a lot of times you're just applying a very light amount of pressure in an upward direction to create a crease. Once you've created a crease, then you can start rolling back and forth. The biggest thing for people to learn is that they can't make the fold all at once. So with a seamer or a folding bar, you're going to effectively just grab the part and you're going to bend it. It's going to be a very quick process. This is a little more nuanced where you're just going to roll back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until ultimately that material is bent to where you need it to be.
Okay. So we've talked about benders and we're going to move on into snips. And having the right snips for the job is really, really important. Can you tell me about the different kinds and why they, the benefits and features of them?
Sure. So we've got snips for every job. The mini snips that we sell are a very small miniature snip that are great for service calls and, emergency packs that some people like to have in their truck or trailer to be able to quickly go out to job sites where they're not really sure what they're going to find, but
Mm-hmm.
they would just want something on hand. Then we have a full line of aviation snips, which for us includes our M2004, which is a double cut. So that M2004 allows you to cut up and over the profiles that are common in vertical seam metal roofing. And so that really quickly can cut, whether it's right or left cuts that you're needing, all the scrap goes up through the center of the cut. And so you end up being able to cut in either direction, a nice straight cut over the full 180-degree bend. And so if you're setting up drip edges, that can save you a lot of time and energy by simply just following the shape of the profile up and over and then coming in from the end to cut that section out.
Okay, so you mentioned about swapping lefts and rights, and it's kind of you don't need to do that anymore.
Well, if you're using an M2004,
Yeah.
you don't need to, but for proper cutting of metal, a left snip and a right snip are imperative. What I mean by that is a left cut snip is going to curve to the left, and anything on the left side of the blade is going to be the finished cut. So that's where your really nice looking cuts are going to reside. A left or a right cutting snip is going to do the same thing, and it's going to curve to the right. Uh, Typically, a lot of people are going to favor a left cutting snip, and we have our aviation snips in both the right and the left snip. And then we have our Andy's line of snips, both in a standard as well as our offset Andy, which is our MC12L in a offset left cutting snip. So that's a great snip because it's offset and it keeps your hands out of the way of the flow of the material. And you can really easily cut radiuses with it that are very small. And you can also cut long continuous pieces, such as breaking down a full sheet without having to have your hands in the way. Nobody likes to get cut by sheet metal,
Oh
and
gosh,
offset
no.
snips make it a lot easier to avoid that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about the turbo shear and how that came to be.
All right, so through some of our innovation process back in the early 2000s, the turbo shear was created. And so we definitely observed that in the trades, people have to cycle their hands multiple times in order to create a cut, right? And most contractors have some form of a driller driver on hand at all times for installing screws. So the concept was simple: power a snip using a driller driver. And so the turbo shear really came from that simplicity of trying to take a few things that are known and needed and putting them together. And so now we have, I want to say, in our 20 years of turbo shears, we were pushing 9 different SKUs. And so that's a really fun stat, as we've celebrated this year 20 years of turbo shears. And we have them for corrugated metal. We have them for just standard flat metal. We've got natural slate, fiber cement, vinyl siding, and double cut shears that can also cut a thin ribbon strip out of the center and allow 2 finished cuts on either side.
And it just attaches to a driver or a drill.
Yeah, you're really quickly going to chuck up the drive shaft, and then as you're seeing on the screen, there's the black arms that are going to fold around the driller driver. So those are going to slide or adjust to whatever size driver you need. And really, it takes so much of the strain off of a person's forearm. A lot of times people will get to a point where they have to cut across a panel, and the TSCM is a great tool, as you're seeing in the image on the screen, because the angle of the blades is substantially higher than some of our other tools. And so it allows you to get up and over the peaks and valleys that a corrugated metal piece would have present when you cross-cut the panel.
Wow. Yeah, so that's saving a lot of the repetitive actions, and like you said, the not as much weight and pressure on the forearm. So yeah. Who wouldn't love a turbo share, right?
Right? And safety is a big deal. We want people to be able to go home and celebrate life with their families and just live it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, having we talked in the beginning about quality, and I think having the right tools, the right snips, like something like the turbo shear, that's less effort, that's going to give you those clean cuts, that's going to give you a nice finished product. That's what every contractor wants, and as well as every customer out there, right?
That's right.
All right. So, importance of that. Now, you mentioned drivers before when you said most contractors have a drill or a driver around. So, tell me about your hex drivers.
Yeah, so our hex drivers, we started off with a fairly basic line of single piece hex drivers. A lot of people are familiar with the quarter inch MSH, as we call them. Most people are going to call them a hex chuck or a hex driver. Um, we've had a really high quality line of single piece drivers for a while now. People love them because they're typically harder than some of the competitors, so they don't wallow out as easily as some of the competing product. We innovated on that and created a impact blue version, which actually has a magnet that's spring loaded, and the magnet stays in contact with the screw at all times, whereas most magnets are going to be spaced away from the screw. The nice part with the spring is it's such a light spring action that it allows the rim of the fastener to contact the outer perimeter of the socket, and that then ensures that the fastener spins true. You've got to think of it as a karate chop. If the karate chop is far away, it's really going to hurt. If
Uh-huh.
the karate chop is always following the target, it's really never going to make contact that is destructive. And so that's the theory behind that impact blue line of drivers, is really just making sure those karate chops can't occur on that magnet. A really fun component of those single piece drivers is that when you're doing production type work where you're installing hundreds and hundreds of screws, they're going to stay together in one piece and be exactly where you need them to be. But that opens us up to what's on the screen, which is our two-piece drivers. So we have quarter and 5/16 drivers in our building construction line that if you are not doing, a full-on install of a through fastened roof, we highly recommend checking out because they have a quarter inch and 5/16 inch sizes all in one. And because the reversible socket can be removed, it allows the magnet to be cleaned. And that way, if you're ever having issues with debris, you just clean that magnet with a quick swipe of a shop towel or a gloved hand. We
So,
also have our sawtooth line, which takes that a step further. So if you've ever been on a roof deck, Karen, where somebody's came through and tried to seal all the fasteners,
yes.
oh my goodness. Uh, Working with some of your coatings companies, it's interesting to see and better understand what some of these solutions have come to be. I know there's one solution for sure where uh, every screw ends up being caulked over with a dollop of adhesive.
Mhm.
And if you ever go to remove one of those roofs, you actually have to scrape away all that sealant. So our C-Rex sawtooth allows you to cut away that sealant without having any additional tools. And the nice part with it is you can actually clear out the driver by flipping around the drive shaft side of the socket or the shaft and pushing any slug of material right out of the socket. So you're quickly and easily able to get back to work.
Wow, that's brilliant because there's a lot of fasteners and a lot of that adhesive and gunk to clear off. That's going to save a ton of time.
People are pretty excited when they see that solution.
Yeah, 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 and that's why we're talking about it today, because you need to know that that's an option. And man, game changer in terms of labor, right?
Right.
Okie doke. Next, you've got an adjustable siding gauge, and we talked about this the other day when we were reviewing for this presentation, and I was really impressed with this, and I think people are just well, they probably love it already. But go ahead and tell us about that, John.
Yeah, so this is another great innovative product that we leverage market research for to better understand, what are people wanting out in the market. And our research showed us in interactions with not only contractors but distributors also that it's kind of a pain to have to select a different gauge for every type of siding that you hang. And so our goal here was to create one tool that would allow you to hang any of the lap siding available on the market. And we really hit that need by allowing a clamping adjustment to take place out in the field, and you can quickly and easily adjust for the size of the plank that is being used. So we can hang anything from a 5/16 thick hardy board to a 5/8 of an inch thick fiber cement siding board. And so you're talking some really substantial variation in thickness and weight, and the clamping being adjustable allows you to make sure that you're ready for whatever job is quoted that week.
Yeah, yeah. And now you talked about when you were doing some field research for this, what were before this you developed this tool, you were seeing contractors using duct tape, right? And what what were their
Yeah.
frustrations that you found?
Yeah, so there's a competing product to this, and you can't adjust the cam mechanism that they use to clamp onto the product. And so there were people using shims and cardboard and duct tape, anything they could to try and extend the life of their tool. Well, because any rubber is going to slightly break down over time, the clamping mechanism was breaking down. And so part of the benefit of this tool is because you can adjust it, you can really just adjust out any wear and tear that may occur over the life of the tool. So you end up extending the life of the tool and allowing, you know, contractors and distributors alike to only have to worry about one tool instead of multiple.
Yeah, and that's good, because space is a premium and you can only have so much space in your truck or in your toolbox. So not having to have multiple types and sizes. Wow, that's very convenient.
Definitely a helpful tool.
All right. Now we talked earlier briefly on how hard is it to learn to use the bender or to use these tools. Talk a little bit about how you guys support the contractor in not only learning how to do it, but to do it correctly to ensure that high quality job.
So we've got a few different ways of doing that. This spring, we're actually going to get out to some of our distributors, and we're going to be showcasing the products on site at those distributors. We're calling them food truck events, but really it's just outreach to make sure that, you know, when we go to these areas in North Carolina, Tennessee, Philadelphia area, we're going to be able to meet with those contractors when they're coming in to get orders for the week and make sure that they understand what some of these tools can do for them so that they can ultimately improve what they're doing for their daily. We want them to pur- purchase stuff that's going to produce value for them. So that might allow them to meet the demands of their job easier. That might allow them to cut out a little early that day and go spend time with family, whatever that might be.
Yeah, yeah. Now you called it food truck events. Do you serve food there?
At a few select shows, we will be.
Okay.
We're also going to be going to a variety of trade shows throughout. One of the events that we love going to is Skills USA, where we're going to meet up with educators and students from the industry. We typically sponsor the sheet metal competition there, as well as the teams event. And so some really neat stuff for the building construction trade where these high schoolers and collegiate students are working on showcasing their skills and abilities.
Yeah, yeah. And so you'll be at Skills USA, that's in Atlanta. I believe it's the end of June. And then you'll also be at the Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Show. That's in June too, early June.
Yep. So our team will be at the Florida Roofer Show, and we'll be showcasing some of our products. We'd love to have you stop out to the booth and get a demonstration or a hands-on trial of some of the tools. I love to put these tools in people's hands when they stop into the booth so they can feel them, articulate them, make sure they feel like they're the right tools for what they need on the job,
Yeah, yeah. Kind of try it before you buy it, right?
right?
So let's move on to talk about some of the professional programs that you guys do. You mentioned Skills USA and sponsoring the sheet metal competition that goes on there, and that's such an impressive event and an impressive organization. And if anyone ever has an opportunity to go and check it out, it's really cool to see the young, the next generation, right, of our workforce. Um, Competing in they build a literal house there at the event. There's so many cool things happening. But you have a program called Head of the Class that I just learned about recently, and I am a big fan. Can you please explain what this is and how it works?
Yeah, so our head of the class program empowers educators to award a student in their classroom as the head of the class. And so talking with instructors, that might be, whether that be the most improved student, the student that showed exemplary skills, whatever that might be, we really don't judge for those reasons. We are empowering those educators to go out to our website, click on our educators page, and submit some information about the head of the class winner as well as the rest of the classroom. And then we send out a prize to the winner as well as to the rest of the class receives a hat, a driver, and some catalog information so they can really start seeing what tools are used in these trades that they're going into. We ultimately want to meet those students where they're starting their career and make sure that they are rewarded for doing a good job.
So if any of you on this webinar are working with any of your trade schools, your tech schools, community college, anyone that's got any kind of,
JATCs,
yeah, HVACC, that let them know. Let the teachers and let the schools know about this program, because I think it's really cool. And then, there's no cost to the teacher, to the class. This is all donated by Malco. Very cool. Okay,
definitely.
what is the Trade Pro of the Year?
So we put together the Trade Pro of the Year to recognize approximately five per category trade pros that are showcasing the core values and really just are exemplary in the trade that Malco has been pushing. And so, what we love about the Trade Pro of the Year is it's recognizing people that are professionals that are not only showing great work ethic and stuff out on the job site, but also enriching their community in ways such as philanthropy or other things to try and make sure that they're living a good life and showing a good uh, version of the trades so that more people are interested in you know basically living that same life. We want people to be excited to be in the trades and excited to be a part of that, and the Trade Pro of the Year is part of how we recognize those individuals. We take nominations, which can be self nomination or otherwise, and those five contestants are pulled out and win $1,000 in Malgo tools. So we just wrapped up at the end of the quarter here our Trade Pro of the Year for roofing or our building exteriors, but we have our HVAC Trade Pro of the Year running right now. So if you know an HVAC trade professional that you believe would be uh, a great contestant for Trade Pro of the Year, by all means, please go to our website, click on Trade Pro of the Year, and get them registered because we want to recognize them for doing a great job.
And this is every year, right? So
Yep,
even though the building exteriors professional just closed, it'll reopen again toward the end of the year, right?
correct. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Definitely put the time in to nominate yourself or somebody else on the job site that you believe is uh, ex- exuding that head of the class or that top trade pro style that you would expect.
Yeah, yeah, and don't be afraid to nominate yourself, right?
That's right.
People, we do good things, we volunteer, we give back, and then we don't really want to talk about it because we don't want to sound like we're bragging but as you mentioned, John, just elevating the whole professionalism of the trades, whether that be building exteriors or HVAC, that's just one small part of it. The construction industry in general, I think, is a very giving, and we always have stories about someone donating a roof or whatever volunteer service they're doing. We want to share that, and we want to be recognizing folks for it. So I think it's just fantastic that you guys do this every year. And who doesn't want to win free tools, right?
Right.
Okay, so if I'm not going to win free tools, I can certainly buy myself some tools. So let's talk about how to get the tools.
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to malcotools.com, you can use our distributor finder to help you find a distributor near you. Any of our distributors are able to order in whatever is available in our tool catalog. So go to malcotools.com, either check out our catalog so that you can conveniently find what you want on your wish list, or just go to the local distributor that you find in your area. You can definitely also go to Amazon.com and check out Malco Tools there, and you'll be able to see a lot of the tools in our selection there. But definitely check out the catalog, work with your local distributor, whether that's an ABC Supply, an SRS, or a smaller mom and pop that's maybe a metal former in your area.
Okay, so lots of options. And it's nice to hear you're on Amazon because we all want it now, all right? Once you decide that you want it, you want to get it now. Well, this has been really, really interesting conversation, John. We've got some folks out there that may have questions. Please drop them in the chat and we can get those answered for you. I wanted to know if you'd be willing to share what your favorite tool is and why.
So my favorite tool is the turbo shear, because when you think about a tool that is going to reduce the wear and tear on a person in our line, to me, that turbo shear is that tool. You really can just, instead of messing around with a hand snip, you can go straight to that powered solution. And the beauty of it is you're not adding a bunch of dedicated tools because it works off of your driller driver. You're going to use that same battery and, you know, drill assembly that you're using for the rest of your job. So it just simplifies things and makes life a lot easier.
Keeping it simple. Well, there you have it. I don't have any questions right now, but just to recap, it's the at the beginning we started off with the why the right tools matter, and it was safety, it was performance, it was quality, and at the end of the day, you want to have that job. We're craftsmen in this industry, right? So you want to accomplish a job and be able to be proud of that and have a customer that's happy and that it everything looks beautiful. No callbacks, right? And the right tools can help you do that.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. It was great to have this conversation about tools, and join us each month. We do this once a month on Metal Coffee Shop with different topics, and be sure to follow us on social media so that you don't miss a thing. And please share this webinar with anyone that you think might be interested in learning more about Malco tools. Thank you all for being here.